One day I had went into her room and I was looking for socks or something, and I'd opened a bag and I saw like a little bag of white stuff.
It was starting to get obvious. Like it was hard to hide it. Because if I'm doing it in the house, then I gotta cover the bottom of the door. There's a few times she tried to come in and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Nothing."
Let's be honest about recovery.
The rewards, the challenges.
Let's talk about our failures. We are flawed people after all.
Let's challenge the stigmas that weigh us down.
Because while most of us are looked at, few of us are seen.
Let's talk about addiction.
And how Christ overcomes our weaknesses.
Because we are loved.
Because we are loved.
Because we are loved.
We are loved.
We are because loved. We are loved.
Hi, my name's Amber, and this is my story. I was in addiction for about 15 years. 12 of those years, I put myself on medically assisted treatment. I thought that would be my life. As bad as I wanted out, I just didn't see no way out. But God had different plans for me, and here I am now.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Jesus Loves Addicts podcast. I'm Kathryn, and this is Paul. Today I'm really excited. We're going to be speaking with Amber Foreman. Amber is a single mother from Lafayette, Louisiana. Today joining us is also Amber's daughter, Brilynn. Amber's story is interesting in that she self-medicated with Suboxone. And she did this for the better part of 12 years until her family intervened, and she's going to tell us more about how she found freedom in Jesus from all of that. Yes. Thank you both for coming.
Indeed.
I'm not sure Brilyn's excited yet, but she will be. Yeah. All right. You want to start at the beginning, or what stands out to you, like where you come from? Tell us about your family.
Yeah, I guess growing up wasn't terrible. Like I didn't have at all. Like my mom was a single mom. But I mean, she did all she could to give us everything we needed. But like most kids, like you still have trauma that you don't even realize, I guess.
Yeah.
Is trauma till you get older, decisions.
Till you get to treatment later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but I guess when it really started, what started it was, in high school I dabbled a little bit, but it was never nothing.
Like drinking pot?
Yeah, drinking mainly. I dabbled a little bit with cocaine, but I almost died one night and I never messed with that again. Like I was done. That was it, But I had a surgery after I had Brilynn. And they put me on, I think it was Demerol.
How old were you at that point?
So 23.
Okay.
23, 24. And they let me take it home. Like they gave me a prescription that I took home. And it just kind of started that whirlwind. Like after I was out, then I guess regardless of how long it's been, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like you still go through that little part of not feeling good when you stop taking it, and then
a little bit of withdrawal.
Right. And I was like, I can't feel this way. Like I have to take care of a kid. Like, I can't be tired. I can't. That was my mindset, for some reason or another. So then I just started finding I would take Lortabs or any kind of pain medicine that I could find.
You were buying these from the street?
Yes.
You felt like you couldn't take care of your responsibilities without the drug. I got you.
And then the numbing effect, I guess. So all the trauma from the childhood, those feelings.
That you didn't have.
Yeah. Yeah, that I didn't have because I was always okay.
Yeah.
Can I interject? Because you mentioned, and it's interesting, you just mentioned it again. You said trauma from childhood. When you first mentioned it, you said sometimes it's trauma that you don't even realize is trauma.
Right.
So there are some biggies that hit the radar that we all know are trauma.
Yes.
So what would you be talking about when you talk about trauma that we don't know is trauma?
So some big things is when my mom and dad were together, my dad, he played around. They were young. They were in high school, My mom had me really young. So stuff like I remember getting up, like her waking me up in the middle of the night. I was like 2 and going to look for my dad and then finding him with another woman. And so much to the point where I remember looking out like the back glass of the window,
Yeah. It's stuck in your mind.
It's stuck,
just like that.
And Then she married another man. He was very abusive. Pretty much wouldn't let her take care of my younger sister that was one. And there was trauma with that, like things that happened there. And so those were like a lot of the bigger ones. Then her dad, I mean, that was not a good
Were y'all
situation.
in a relationship?
Yeah, for 10 years.
Okay. So you had her at 23. So when did you get in a relationship with her dad?
I was 18. So the total length of time, so I was with him till about 28.
Okay.
So she was, she was born and was there for a little while with him too. But that was I think that was the biggest trauma, and that's what kind of kept me in it, like stuck in it. Because I'm like, if I can't feel, if I can't.
Then I don't have to deal with it.
Then I don't have to deal with it, But so I did that for a while, and then when I started self-medicating, like on the MAT treatment, like the medically assisted, I was working in the oil field, and there was a girl that worked there, and she was like, just do this, because then you don't have to worry about any of that. And it's really not the same thing. Like, it's
because a
just,
doctor prescribes it.
Right. And so once I did that.
For you, would it be fair to say that you really just found a legal way to stay high?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it still wasn't legal because I wasn't going to a doctor.
Oh, you weren't getting it prescribed. Somebody
No.
was dishing it to you. Ah.
Yes.
Okay. For the entirety of I know your story's just begun, but you've mentioned it. For the entirety of the 12 years, you were getting it through nefarious means.
Yes.
One more quick question about the trauma. Thank you for explaining that, by the way, because you're right. Sometimes we feel like it has to be painful. It has to be something physically, whereas your pain was emotional, especially the picture you paint of kind of looking through that back window around your father. So your mom remarries. Do you ever see your father again, your biological father?
My dad is
your
very much involved in my life.
And in a good way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that part is good. The
that part.
stepfather, not so much.
No, not at all.
Not good.
And they're not together.
No, they're not. They didn't stay married very long after that. But then she married again, and it was the same. Like, not towards us. The abuse wasn't geared more towards the kids. It was more towards her.
Was the first stepfather, was that abuse geared towards you as well?
Yeah, I mean,
Kids
not
and
as
her?
bad as it was to my younger sister.
What's the age difference between you and your sister?
Almost 7 years.
So you're about 7 or 8, and so she was about 1, you said? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Wow. And he was physically abusive, like just...
Oh, yeah, he would hit her. The big thing that stands out to me, and when I say stands out, like I can still see it in my head, like, was she wasn't sleeping one night, so I put her in the bed with me. And he came in there and he got mad and was like, well, if you don't want to sleep, then you'll stay up all night. And he did. He made her stand up in the living room all night long. And every time she would like doze off, he would tap her in the back of the head. And that was the biggest thing.
Wow. So much of your trauma was, I don't know if this is an official name, but almost vicarious. You were seeing it. You were seeing your mom being abused. You were seeing your sister being abused. And as a 7 or 8 year old, that is traumatic. Plus, there was some directed at you.
Yeah.
And was
Because
that
you can't
also
fix it.
Yeah, and I think that was the big thing is I wanted to fix it, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
Children often feel like they don't have a voice.
Yeah. Amen. Now, did that desire to fix it, does that play out later in your life? Do you become kind of a caretaker? Is this how you find?
Oh, yeah. I'm very much a people pleaser. If I just take care of everything and if I make sure everything's okay, nobody's going to be mad. Nobody's going to be upset.
Yeah. So you mentioned your first relationship, and it sounds like it was abusive. And I think it's an important connection to make. So would you say, if you look at the history of your relationships, did you tend towards finding fixer-uppers? Like,
oh, yeah.
that was your MO. Okay. And that's,
100%.
And
Brilynn, you agree?
She looked at you. Did you witness that? Like, she's talking about seeing her mother with some bad characters. Did you have that same experience with your mom? Kind of seeing her with some bad relationships?
Oh, well, if we say my dad, then yeah.
Your dad?
Oh, like I don't remember anything as of right now, but like I know he's like not a good person.
Oh, okay.
She was probably about 3 when
he left.
Yeah, which worries me too because she might not realize it now, but I still feel like there's some things that's gonna come to surface that she will remember.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say you kind of became your mom? Is that, I mean, I'm seeing the dynamic here. She's describing much the same. Are there similarities there?
Yeah, a little bit, I would say. Not 100%, but yeah, a little bit.
I think the similarities, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Different personalities, but a few similarities.
Right, yeah.
So you start dabbling in high school, right? By the way, I apologize to you, apologize to the audience. My voice was lost for a while. It's starting to find its way back. So
it comes and goes.
Yes. So you're dabbling in high school, mostly alcohol. Is it mostly alcohol until the operation that gets you started on opiates?
To be honest, like the high school thing was probably like end of my senior year, maybe.
That's when it started.
And and it didn't last long. Like it wasn't I guess it wasn't an addiction at the time.
Right.
Okay. And then for the probably 19 to 21, I really didn't do anything.
Okay.
Like it was kind of like
you graduated high school, you were in a relationship with Brylynn's dad.
Right.
Were you working?
I worked and I was in school, so I didn't really do anything until that surgery. And the reason why I had the surgery is I had gallstones. So they had to remove my gallbladder. And I honestly don't know what, besides the fact of like feeling the way I felt afterwards and just not wanting to feel that way, what kept me, like, started me to want to keep doing that,
Yeah.
Would you say, was it an instant love affair with the opiate?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Because in the moment, like, it gives you that burst of energy. I mean, I guess it doesn't do it for everybody, but...
No, but it does it for opiate addicts.
Yeah.
And your brain wants what it wants. And it when you do that, and that one thing, like when you said, it made me feel like I could do all the things I needed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it became a drug of choice.
Yeah.
Including, unfortunately, when you say all the things I need to do, including, unfortunately, checking out of the abuse, right?
Yeah, checking out of the...
Yeah. One more quick question about that. Sorry, I don't mean to monopolize.
No,
I'm
you're good.
Sometimes I think we jump into the drug use, and there's so much of your story that I think can be developed here. How did this relationship blossom? Like, so when somebody is a fixer, somebody who's a fixer, so they find fixer-uppers, they tend to miss all the red flags early on.
Right.
In retrospect, when you look back at the beginning of that relationship, do you see them now? Were there red flags that you missed?
Absolutely.
Can you talk about?
So, for instance, so we met, and like I said, back in the day, he was a charmer. Like he had a mouth on him. Like if probably better words to put it, but
we'll go with that.
And so for a few months, I didn't know anything. He had a car and the apartment and this, that, and the other. Well, come to find out, he was living with a whole nother woman. That was her apartment. That was her car. So instead of like, when I found this out, instead of being like, absolutely not. In my brain, I'm like, what's too far going now?
Yeah.
Like, my feelings are too, like, I just have to see this out. Like, I have to see where this is going to go.
Yeah.
It's something, and I do think that has a lot to do with your childhood. I do. I think it traces back to why some of us are that quick, ready to accept unacceptable behavior by most anybody else, a healthy person's standards. If that's, I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's like, oh yeah, no, I can do this. Absolutely, this makes sense. I'm going to keep this for what?
For what?
Well, dysfunction,
and I'm going to fix it.
Dysfunction gets normalized. Right. When you grow up and that's all you see, then that becomes your normal.
Yeah.
So to find yourself in a dysfunctional situation, it's just it makes
normal.
Sense that you would go, well, I'm in it. Let's
just
this is what
see
happens.
where it's going to go. I mean, I can fix, in my mind, I'm like, I can fix it. I can change that, Yeah.
How soon did the abuse kind of kick in?
Oh, it was physically wasn't very often. Usually like when he was really drunk or whatever, you know, it would get kind of out of hand. But emotional was every day. Absolutely every day.
Yeah.
You know, I was never good enough. I was never going to be anything, you know. I could never do it on my own. And I'm thinking, I do it on my own already. You don't do anything.
You don't do anything.
You drive my car. You know what I'm saying? You live in my house.
Did you think like that in the moment, or are you doing that retrospectively? Or were you buying his sales job there in the moment?
Yeah, I think it was that. Like, I was just like, I think times I thought about it, and I'm like, what are you even talking about? You know?
But you didn't never say it out loud.
No, never.
Because you weren't going to rock the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, it sounds like you were starting to feel that.
Yeah.
Like he was right.
And yeah, eventually I'm just like, okay, well, you know, kind of like the whole self-medicating thing, like this is just going to be what it is, you know. Really, it's whenever she started getting older and I really sat down to think, because I always knew wrong from wrong. I grew up in the church, so I always knew right from wrong. And it started getting really, like, he ended up having a child that's 10 months older than her. She has one 10 months, like, it was getting out of hand. And I'm like, she cannot think that this is right.
Yeah.
Like, she cannot think that this is how a relationship should be or a man should treat a woman. And that's when I got enough.
Were you guys married?
No.
Never got married?
Never got married. No.
Lived together? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any memories of this, Brilynn? Is there any, like, when you think back? I know it sounds like you were 3 when he left, but do you have
I only remember one house, and I only remember it because my room was huge.
Which he was gone a lot. Like.
What did he do? Work?
No.
Okay.
No. Most of the time, like, during the day I worked, she was at daycare, you know. And when I would get back from work, we would come back, he was gone. He was going till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, doing whatever it was he was doing. So she probably really might not remember too much of that because he wasn't around in the home much with her there, you know, so.
But did you say you do have one memory?
Oh, just my bedroom. No people.
You just remember. Okay, that became your safe haven?
Oh, it was big and beautiful. Had a white bed. It was wooden.
Okay.
Zebra print in pink.
But that's
do you remember that?
Right?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Okay.
But it probably was, like you said, like her safe haven. She might not look at it that way at that age, but yeah.
That was the escape
I don't even remember how old I was. I just remember the room.
Yeah.
Too.
She liked the room.
Yeah.
Now, had you yet started opiates when you met him, or does that happen? Does this operation happen
it was
into
after,
the relationship?
Because I had the surgery probably 2 weeks after she was born.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was afterwards. And then it didn't help that, I mean, he did.
He sold drugs?
He sold, yeah.
That's why I feel like he was
yeah, I mean,
a
that's
businessman that did not file taxes.
Yeah, and that's why he was out all night and, you know, doing his thing.
Sure.
So, yeah. So it did not help. Not that he didn't give them to me freely, but, I mean, there's... when you're in that state of mind, you find a way to get what you want.
Yeah.
You know, like, so.
But there was no dabbling in his excess prior to your operation, or had you?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So
prior to that, no.
Okay. So for a few years of this abusive relationship,
you were just
fully
sober,
present
worked.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Work. Just
Okay.
Did a part of you still think that maybe if you just kept doing that and being consistent in it, that he would change?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
You know, I really did. And then, no, like I said, there had times that were great, you know?
Right.
And he did great. And it seemed like things were going to change. But then, I mean, it wasn't long before everything fell back.
Just explain. I mean, that's something with abusive, toxic relationships. It's get really horrible, and then for a while it does seem like they get better. And I hear a lot of women say that. I've said that. And then you start to think, okay, maybe I was right to hold on or whichever, but then it goes back, and that's a cycle.
Which I think is what keeps you
there.
hanging, like hanging on, because, you know, you have that.
When I've heard a lady, she told me, she was like, you don't understand. when it was good, it was so good.
Yeah.
I had never had that good. And then when it fell, it was so bad. But I wanted to go back to the good. And I'm like, okay, it makes sense.
It's kind of addictive thinking in itself, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we hang on to the moments of high, right?
Yes.
You're always chasing the high in that relationship, even though it's few and far between.
Right.
We have our eyes on the high of that. So it's really part and parcel to the addiction.
Yeah.
So,
and then it gets to a point where you just don't want to feel bad. It's not even about any of that anymore. It's just having to get up and do the normal, because for a long time, like, I guess, I mean, there's no really functioning addict, but if you put it in a sense, I was nobody knew. Nobody, I mean, people still to this day, when I go to group at church and people that see me grow up and I'd say my story, they're like,
wait, what?
Well, was it alcohol? And I'm like,
no.
And they're like, I would have never known, So I did a good job of hiding it for sure, but it just got, I didn't want to do it for so long. Like I fought with that. And I'm like, well, when she gets to this age, I'll be able to like do it myself. And, she can go to my mom's for the weekend and I'll be,
Or how old was she when you found out about the Suboxone and you started buying it and put yourself on it?
Probably 3.
Okay.
I'd like to take a moment to recognize a major podcast sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by America's Thrift Stores, your go-to option for decluttering and giving back. If you have a closet bursting at the seams or a garage that's seen better days, we've got the perfect solution for you.
That's right. America's Thrift Stores makes it easy to clear out the clutter and make a positive impact in your community. Whether you're cleaning out your wardrobe, downsizing your living space, or just looking to give back, America's Thrift Stores has you covered.
And here's the best part. You've got options. Schedule a hassle-free home pickup, drop off your items at one of their convenient donation sites, or swing by an America's Thrift Store to donate in person. No matter which way you choose, you're making a difference.
Absolutely. Every donation you make to America's Thrift Stores directly benefits charities in your area, such as the Home of Grace and other fantastic organizations dedicated to helping those in need.
For example, donations made to America's Thrift Stores in southern Mississippi help the Home of Grace provide support and assistance to individuals facing drug and alcohol addiction. Your contributions make a real impact on their mission to provide freedom from addiction through Christ-centered recovery. So not only are you decluttering your life, but you're also helping build a stronger and more supportive community.
It's truly a double blessing. So what are you waiting for? Clean out that closet, clear out that garage, and make a positive difference in your community by donating to America's Thrift Stores.
Visit America's Thrift Stores online to schedule a home pickup, locate a donation site near you, or get directions to one of their store locations.
America's Thrift Stores, where giving back never goes out of style.
So you have the operation, fall in love with the opiates, start to use lower tabs, whatever you can get your hand on. At work, somebody introduces you to Suboxone. Are they providing it for you now? I mean, is that, okay, so they're providing it for you. And that
then,
goes...
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And then, once you fall into that world, so she provides it. Well, when she can't anymore, well, wait, she knows somebody that has, so it's like that. It's just like a train effect. Like
now you know where everyone is that's on it.
Right. And we'll get, and I mean, it's crazy because the doctors prescribe an animate amount a day to people. That is ridiculous, so they'll take it, but they take it because they go and sell them.
Sure.
Why didn't you just, I mean, clearly it's doctors will prescribe it, it's legal, and they would much rather you, pharmaceuticals, we know that they would rather you be on medically assisted treatment. What kept you from just going to tell them? And then
I guess, I was scared because I'm like, what are they going to say?
Yeah.
well, where are you getting them from? I guess pride, maybe, you know, having to break down that pride and actually go in.
And tell someone help.
Yeah.
So how does this relationship end? Because you said she's about 3 when you get introduced to Suboxone, but she's also around 3 when he leaves, right? So this sounds like there's a lot of moving parts around age 3 for your daughter.
Yes. What it was, we were in that house that she remembers so well. And actually at that point in time, I was in college. So for once, he was actually supposed to be working and maintaining, you know, the household bills. And I got a call from the landlord, and which I think it was God. I think that was my way out, you know?
Right.
Because in the back of my mind, I wanted out for so long, but I just didn't see a good way.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, y'all are 3 months behind on, and I'm like, what? Because it was connected to my account. So the money was coming out, but it wasn't going
to the rent
to where it needed to go, you know? And I'm like, wait, what? And so the landlord actually told me, he was like, I will give you time to, you know, catch up or pay it or whatever. And I didn't. I just told him, like, we have to be out by the end of the month, and I'm going to my mom's and you can't come.
Oh, that's what you told your boyfriend.
Yeah.
I see. So
and
did he ever fight it, say anything? Or
I mean, in a sense, yeah. Crazy as it sounds, he still tries to this day, here and there, you know? And I'm like,
wow.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
So he's still in your orbit.
I don't talk to him. Haven't talked to him in years. Besides, like, he randomly will call, and I probably still need a lot of counseling on that because I'm angry and
sure.
I can't talk to him. I can't. But yeah, he'll call and say, but he just says random things, you know, like, oh, you know, let's meet up. And I'm like, where have you been? Like, we have not talked in 10 years. Like, what is the problem, you know? But
do you talk to him at all?
He's in jail.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he's currently in jail.
Before he went to jail, did you talk to him, Brilynn?
Called every once in a while, text him. Only asked about my grades, though. I don't know why that's any of his concern, but...
But you haven't seen him. What about the siblings? Do you have anything to do with your siblings or see them? No? Okay.
Now, the siblings you have are by different. By him as well. So not different
Not
fathers.
hers, just different. Different
I
moms.
got you different mothers.
Different moms.
There's a lot of them.
There's 10 total.
Okay.
Oh. 10 total.
Okay. Have you ever met any of them? Yeah. All of them?
Most of them.
Most of them.
I think there's only 2 out of them.
And there's
3.
Several of them are within your age range.
Yes.
Like 10 months. You said 10 months younger. Then you 10 months older.
From like 24 to 3.
No, his oldest is, I think, 27.
And the youngest is probably 5 months now.
Your mom just talked about her anger, right? Like even acknowledging I might need to work through that professionally.
Yeah.
Do you have a sense of being angry at anyone, anything? Is there are you harboring some of that?
I don't know.
You can be honest.
I don't know.
You don't know?
Like you're talking towards my dad?
Toward anything, toward, you know, when you think about your upbringing, is there some anger?
Not really that I noticed.
No? Okay.
Towards your mom or your dad, to be honest.
I have a bad attitude, but I don't really notice the anger.
You have a bad attitude?
Yeah. Most of the time.
But I think,
honest.
I think that has a lot to do with anger inside, you know, hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which anger
You know,
is
regardless if it's towards me or
him
or both of us.
Yeah.
I do think that has a lot to do with it.
I agree.
Is your bad behavior targeted at anybody particular?
Probably Jace.
No, we're not.
Oh.
No,
I
you
thought
mean
you were
like
talking about my attitude.
no? She doesn't have a bad behavior.
No, I'm a really good kid.
She is good.
I don't get
But she has a mouth, like
Yeah.
She gets angry, I guess, fast. You know.
I think I might be bipolar.
No, I don't think you are.
Yeah, no, I think the fact that you get angry fast probably is the answer to the question, right? You probably do have some anger, and it's okay, right? The first thing to do is be okay with that, right? It's okay that it would make sense that you'd have some anger about that. So thank you. All right. So this relationship ends. You're introduced to Suboxone. This is the beginning now of a 12-year run on that.
Well, wait. Okay. So you move out, you take Brilynn, you go to your mama's, who's not married by this time when Brilynn was 3?
No.
Okay.
She's not married. She's probably single for a while, but then she does meet another man, which he was not. I mean, they had their differences, but in a whole, he was not a bad person or man, you know. In general, they were together for a long time.
So when you moved in with Brilynn, so did you go there already on the Suboxone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you did get it. You put yourself on that. Did he know that before you left?
Who, her dad? Mm-hmm. No, he had no clue.
Okay.
No.
How about your mom?
No, nobody knew.
No? Okay.
Did you have anyone other than the people you bought the Suboxone from that you actually trusted that knew you or saw you?
Nope.
No.
So I'm really interested in hearing this story because although you were getting it through nefarious means, it is a drug that is prescribed by doctors under the guise that it helps you be functional.
Yes.
Can you speak to, and I don't know what your story looks like, so I don't know, but how did it cause dysfunction in your life? Can you speak to that?
Financially.
Financially, so.
Which, that's a big one. Two, it's just, I'm going to be honest, it's just like any other drug.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, it's not a way to fix the problem by any means. You get just as addicted as any other thing, you know? And, I mean, to be honest, it's almost worse. Like, so I was on the pain medicine, and when she offered that to me, and the first time I ever took it, I mean, I literally, you would think I probably shot heroin up my arm. Like, I was literally like
out of it. And it lasts longer because the half-life.
Right. And I can remember because I was like, okay, I just want it to stop. Like, it was like that bad. Like, I was like, okay, I'm ready for it to stop, you know? But it didn't stop me from waking up the next day and doing it again.
Right.
You know? Till finally you do get to where you function off and you're normal and, you know, you can go about your day.
Your version of normal. Well, and you don't feel like you're going through the same amount of sickness and having to find it as often.
Right.
And initially I would think it's also a trap, whichever you want to call it, that it seems more cost effective than an opiate addiction when you first start out. Because it's your mentally is like, and that's the doctors, I had a doctor tell me that. He's like, no, this is affordable and this will last longer and you'll be able to do X, Y, Z.
And in retrospect, it does last longer because when I got to the point where I came to rehab and, because I went to a 30-day first, and in my addict mind, when I got there, they kept, instead of taking me off the Suboxone, because that's the main reason I was there, they kept me on it. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, they still won't know because I can stay on it. I'll get the prescription now because...
Now it's legal.
Yeah, because they're going to give that to me when I leave and it'll be all good. But what that solved, I mean, that would have solved nothing, you know? And so when it came closer to the end of the 30 days, my mom and my sister called and they were like, you have to go into sober living. And I was like...
So this is what I mean when I ask about dysfunction. How did it cause dysfunction, right? So mom and sister don't just wake up one day and go, gee, I think it'd be a good idea to throw sister into a treatment center, right? So clearly it's affecting relationships. 12 years would take your daughter until she was 15.
Yeah.
Did it affect how you mothered negatively? Did it affect, what was it that your mom and sister were seeing? Did it affect your job?
The big thing with my mom and sister was money. Like, I mean, I was making $60,000 a year.
And had nothing.
And had nothing to show for it.
You were still living with her?
No, I had my own apartment and own house. Because I worked in the apartment industry. So I worked in the industry. I managed apartments. We lived on the property, you know.
Okay.
So, I mean, my rent was, like, my bills are paid in that aspect. But other than that, like, I had nothing to show for it. I mean, this is something I definitely regret, too. But, like, she always had what she needed. And 9 out of 10, most of the time, she had to go through them. Like, if she really needed something, because
I was
always broke. You know? I didn't have it. And, I mean, now it kills me to think that way. But that's just the fact of what it was, you know? So always provided a home, you know, a car, you know, she was physically taken care of as far as, you know, clean and hair done. And she always got where she needed to be. But as far as like providing like clothes and shoes, you know, my mom and my sister did most of that.
Well, I guess, are you asking more about what led you to the point that you had to get treatment other than financial? Like, how did that come about? Because you didn't wake up and say, hey, I'm going to go into a 30-day program. They had to, something broke.
Yeah. So probably the last year I started kind of dabbling with Adderall. And then I met somebody. Well, I didn't meet her. She was a friend since high school, but she's always been on drugs, you know. But the harder stuff, the stuff that I said, I would never do, ever touch. Like, that is my limit. Never would I do that. So when I couldn't find Adderall, I was like looking one day and I reached out to her and she was like, well, I have meth. Like, it's the same thing. And I'm like,
meth.
Yeah. I'm like, is it really? No, it's not. And she's like, yeah, it is. And it's cheaper than having to buy that much every day, and it lasts longer. And for a while I was like, no, absolutely not. Like, never. Yeah. Not doing it, you know. And eventually one day I was just like, okay, I'm going to try it because I can't find Adderall and I'm going to try it. And then that was just downhill. And what broke it was, I swear, I mean, the minute that happened, my life spiraled out of control. Literally, like,
when you tried the meth?
From then on, like, it was probably only like 3 months before I went to the rehab. But like in that 3 months, my life just like spiraled out of control. I was late for work all the time. I mean, that's because I was staying up all night long, you know, and then I'd fall asleep 2 hours before I had to go to work. And I was in such a dead sleep at that point.
You just didn't get up.
Yeah.
And are you still using Suboxone as well? Oh, so it replaced the Suboxone.
No, that was before I went to rehab. That happened.
So rehab, you actually did come off the Suboxone then at the end of the rehab.
Yeah, I don't think I finished that story. I went to the next part. But so I was supposed to go into that sober living, and the sober living that they had chose for me, you could not be on, which again, that's where God came in again. Yeah. You know, you could not be on Suboxone. So I'm talking to the lady at this rehab, and I'm like, well, we can find different ones. Like, they have some that accept it, and they won't know, you know, like, and so my sister called me one day and she was like, I know what you're doing. I know you're still on it. Like, this is when I'm in the rehab. She's like, I know they're still giving it to you, and I know you're trying to find a different sober living because of that. And if you do that, you will never come back to this house. Like, if that's the life you want to choose, then that's fine. But you're not going to come around.
Now, where were you, Brilynn, during all this? You're not with mom, right? So where?
With my grandma and my nanny.
Why? Oh, so you're living with them now.
With your mom and your sister?
And my sister, yeah.
And what was, let me ask you, Brilynn, because there have been several episodes where we've had parents and we talk about the kids. And one thing we often say is that kids may not know exactly what the problem is, but they know there's a problem.
Yeah.
So what was this, certainly by the time you're 10 and it doesn't end until you're 15, certainly in that range, you must have some idea that mom's not firing on all cylinders. Would that be fair to say? Are you getting a sense that something's
that something was going on?
Yeah.
I didn't really catch on to it till like right before she had went to wherever, I don't know.
Right before the treatment.
Yeah, because
the first one.
I would start staying up late because I was homeschooled, so I No, I just stayed up late.
Yeah.
And I would see that she was up all night, or like she'd go take a bath and there'd be something under the door. And so I just like caught on to something was weird. Then one day I had went into her room. So I don't think she even knows this still. But one day I had went into her room and I was looking for socks or something, and I'd opened a bag and I saw like a little bag of white stuff.
Yeah.
And then like I knew what weed and stuff was, so I saw something that looked like you'd smoke weed out of it. But I didn't really know. So I had a boyfriend at the time, and I asked him about it. I asked if he knew, and neither of us really knew. So I just left it alone. I didn't really know.
Did you ever talk to her? I know that.
Oh, nobody knows that I found this. This is the first time she finds out.
Yeah, Nanny knows because she told me.
Oh, well, I don't know how she knew then. I don't remember telling her.
I feel like you might have told her.
Yeah, and which is fine.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't really remember telling her, but maybe I did.
Because, and that's how it kind of all broke. That's what, because, and like I said, God.
So when you heard that story from.
Well, what happened was, God knew that the only thing that would break my pride down and make me be like, throw my hands up is her. Like, there is nothing in this world worth losing her. And that's what broke it. You know, she left. She never would ever go anywhere. It's like she always slept. I mean, her friends came to my house. Like, she just was that type of a child. Like, she would not go anywhere. And she left one weekend. Was it summer? Yeah, it was summer. So she left, and she's like, I'm going to go sleep at Lolly and Annie's. And I'm like, okay.
Not your mom. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I'm like, that's odd, but okay. Well, the next day comes around, and I don't hear from, like, she don't text me. She don't call me. Nothing. And I'm like, that's odd. So I reach out to her, and like, she's not responding to me. And I'm like, what's going on? You know? So I call my sister, and I'm like, well, where's Brilynn? And she's like, oh, she's right here. And I'm like, well, why isn't she answering my phone? And she was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe she's on her phone. You know, they were making up excuses at this point.
Yeah.
And so I tried to call her again, and she didn't answer. And so I called my sister back, and I'm like, what is going on? What is wrong?
You knew something was wrong.
Can I pause you and ask that very question of your daughter? What are you feeling right now?
Oh, like right now?
Yeah.
Oh, like it's just coming back to my head. But Nanny wasn't letting me answer you.
Who wasn't?
Her aunt.
Was keeping you from her because she saw an issue here and thought she was protecting you. Is that fair?
Well, she made me go sleep that night. I remember it all. She made me go sleep that night, and like she told me like what was going on, and then she was like, well, you're gonna stay here. Like, she wasn't gonna let me go back to Honey's.
Yeah. And so finally she told me, she's like, well, this is what's going on, and this is what Brilynn knows, and this is your choice. Like, you either go get help or she's not going back. You know? And I immediately was like, oh, I'm ready. You know, and it was like the biggest weight lifted off my shoulders because for so long I wanted that. Like, I wanted...
Everything had been so secret for so long. I mean, over a decade.
I wanted the help. I didn't want to be that way anymore.
Right.
But I didn't have the pride of, you know, having to reach out for help or let somebody know, you know? And
I think sometimes, though, I don't know if I'd say pride. I think it's a fear of what happens next and what are they going to say.
Or what they're going to think, you know, because I definitely never wanted to disappoint. That's another big problem. Like,
well, you mentioned people pleasing in the very beginning, and if you don't know and you haven't gone through this, you don't know what their reactions are going to be.
Right.
At that point, when you were thinking that, it doesn't sound like you had any clue to what extent they knew anything.
Right.
So, if I don't want to let you down, I know I need to do something, but I'm terrified, and y'all finally took the one thing that's going to make me talk no matter what. Like, please just help, but now I'm ready. Do whatever.
Right.
But I don't think they realized at the time that you really were ready.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't words.
I wasn't. Yeah. I really, really was. Like, you know.
So, if you don't mind, I just want to ask you one further question about that, because clearly there's a lot of emotion tied to that. And I can only guess at what that's related to, and I would think one of two things, and maybe it's a third that's not even coming to me, but I would think either that situation was scary, right? What's going on here? Where's mom going? Or is very hurtful because it sounds like you wanted to be there, but you couldn't. What was going on that night for you? Was it either one of those? Was it something else?
I'd say probably both. I don't really know. Like, I kind of just like put it all like, I distracted myself.
Yeah, how'd you do that?
I just hung out with people all the time. Like, I just didn't think about it.
Yeah. Brilynn, thank you for your emotional honesty. Okay, that's really important, and I appreciate that. And I can only imagine it was scary and was hurtful, right? So, and it's neat because, again, I know I'm infusing my own perception here, but as much as there probably is some anger in here, you guys clearly love each other. Yeah. Right? There's no question there. So thank you for that.
Before we go any further, let's take a minute to address the man or the woman listening to today's episode and wishing for a better life. Or maybe addiction has completely overtaken a family member or a friend.
You are not alone. As you may know, the Jesus Loves Addicts podcast is produced by the Home of Grace, a Christ-centered addiction recovery program in South Mississippi with over 60 years of experience.
The Home of Grace has residential programs ranging from 30 days to 12 months. With 2 separate campuses for men and women, they are fully staffed with caring individuals who want nothing more than to guide you to a life of recovery.
Services include individual and group counseling, marriage and family counseling, classes, workshops, GED, and workforce training, all grounded in biblical principles.
And because of donations from the community, the cost of the program is incredibly affordable.
Thousands of alumni from across the country can tell you there is no other program in the world quite like the Home of Grace.
If you want to start a new path to recovery, don't wait. Speak with an admission specialist today. Visit homeofgrace.org or call 833-55-GRACE to talk with someone.
That's 833-55-GRACE. Call the Home of Grace today.
So, Amber, then I guess my question for you is, now that I have a better understanding, so that first treatment center gets you off of, well, with the help of going to a home that doesn't allow it, the Suboxone ends there, but now you found this alternative. So how long are you on this, and how does this? So
at that point, when my sister tells me that, I'm like, well, okay, I'm going to tell the nurse that I don't want it anymore, take me off. Well, I only had like 3 days left. Over there. So there wasn't like a weaning process. Like, it was like, okay, well then we're just going to cut you dry because, you know, we don't have enough time to wean you off. So, and I kept asking her, I'm like, am I going to be okay?
Yeah.
That was my biggest thing. Like, am I going to be okay? Like, and she was like, oh yeah. Well, I didn't know this, but the actual like full-blown withdrawals from Suboxone don't start for 5 to 7 days.
Because the half-life is so long.
So I move into this
sober living,
and I'm still feeling pretty good. And I'm like, what the heck? If I would have known this, I would have done this a long time ago. We're on day 4 and I'm still
feeling fine.
Well, day 5 or 6 comes, and by this time I went back to work, and I'm at work, and I'm like, I literally feel like I don't know what to do with myself. Like, I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, I don't know why I'm feeling like this. Like, I didn't even know what I was feeling at that point, You
had never gone through it.
Ever. No. And I called, I went to my boss and I'm like, I have to leave. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I cannot physically work right now. And I called my sister because at the time I didn't have a car anymore. And
is this still the same workplace that the person that was there supplying you with it?
No. Oh, okay. This is a new. Actually, I was working there before I went to the rehab, and they held my job for me.
Okay.
So I went back, and so I called my sister. I'm like, you have to come get me. Like, I don't know. So they had put me on like depression medicine and something else when I was over there. And she was like, it's probably that. Like, it takes your body a little while. It sometimes makes you feel funny. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think that's what it is.
Something's wrong.
Something is wrong. And so the following morning, luckily they had a nurse that lived in the sober living house with us. She was in the sober living house, but she was a nurse, and when I woke up the next morning, she looked at me and she's like, what is happening? And I'm like, I don't know, like something is wrong, and she was like, that's when she asked me, she's like, what were you on? And so I told her, and she's like, you have to go back. Like, you need to go back into a trick, like
now.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to go back. She's like, you have to. So I went back into another 7-day, or I don't know what it is. It's psych and detox. Yeah. So I guess I say 7 days. It just depends, I guess, how long it takes for it all. And sure enough, it was full blown withdrawals from Suboxone. When I got there, like I said, it had to be God, because my blood pressure was like 270 or 2 something over. I don't know. It was extremely high.
Yeah.
And so I went through that again. And while I was there, my mom and them kept like, why don't you go to the Home of Grace? I've heard so many good things. It's faith-based. And I'm like, I'm not leaving for another 3 months. I'm not leaving Brilynn for another 3 months. I'm not doing it. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And so randomly this guy that's in this detox center with me, I don't know him at all from Adam, never met him before in my life, walks up to me and is like, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but if you ever get the opportunity to go to the Home of Grace, take it.
That's funny.
Because he actually had been here at the men's campus.
Okay.
And I'm like, when he told me that, I'm like, all right, God, got it. And I called my mom and I'm like, I'm going to go. I said, but if I go, when I get out of here, I have to leave. Like, I can't go back home.
Smart.
And because and that's
you knew that if you went home and saw her, like you weren't going to leave.
Leaving.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
What great insight, because I can't tell you how many people miss that opportunity because I just need to come home for a couple of days.
Yeah.
I just need to take care of this. And it's, I've always strongly believe it's your safest bet. It's going to be point A to point B, and everything else can fall into place.
And like she said, like I was ready.
Yeah.
I didn't want, I had no desire to go back to that,
Now, is this on the tail end then of the stimulant stuff too? The meth? Okay, so this is on the other end. Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of, and that's what I'm saying, like that's when everything kind of spiraled and it was starting to get obvious. Like it was hard to hide it. Like, because if I'm doing it in the house, then I got to cover the bottom of the door. You know what I'm saying? Or, my room door didn't lock. So I would put a hamper in front of the door. And, there's a few times she tried to come in and the hamper, she's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing, So that's when it kind of just started spiraling.
I think it's interesting to me. A lot of kids, teens and stuff that I've talked to, my daughter, Brilynn, they remember the towel in front of the bathroom.
Yeah.
They remember those things that
you wouldn't
when
think.
you're in addiction, you are straight up telling yourself that you're fooling everybody.
Yeah.
But the things that our family and our children witness, I think I've said this once before, but I will never forget a woman looking at me, and she was now in her 50s, and she said, I went into the bathroom to get high when my kids were little, and I came out and they were grown. And I've just never been able to forget that.
Yeah.
And I won't.
Yeah.
So, Amber, I love that you end up at a faith-based program, right? Because it reminds me at the very beginning of this, you said something about there was always faith was not a foreign subject to you. You had some knowledge of God. There was this thing. But as most people who dive into addiction, it gets lost in the haze, right? So here you go to this faith-based program. Is there any conscious, reconnecting to God that happens there for you? Is this reawakened? What happens?
So, like I said, I grew up in church, youth group. I mean, I was very much involved, like you said, grew up, kind of just fell out of it, but always knew, what was home, what, and even in my addiction, like I was still going to groups, and like I was trying, like I couldn't find my way out, like in a sense, you know? So going to the Home of Grace, that just brought me back to where I used to be, like back to the beginning. You said
home.
Yeah, home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back to what I knew growing up as a younger child, you know?
But that's interesting that what you just said, because I failed to ask that, because many times it is just put on a shelf somewhere. But you just said in your addiction, you're still going to groups. Does that mean like church groups?
Yeah, like small groups. And
so you literally had a devil and angel on opposite shoulders through this whole thing. Yeah. Wow.
Well, I noticed throughout the whole story when things were going bad, God had a hand, like that was normal for her. If you noticed, every time she's like, God was already working on this. God was doing this. Well, he allowed this to happen, and he did, like, you never. Yeah. It wasn't, hey, this just happened. It was like God had a hand in every bit of it, even as bad as it got.
Right. Like, he was never, even when I didn't think he was there, he was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And that's why, like, I was nervous to come today. You know, I was nervous. But that's why you have to tell your story, because, you know, he's there.
Well, let me
ask, in the dark, you know?
Yeah. Amen. Well, let me ask you about that dynamic, because so there's lots of emotions we wrestle with in our addictions, right? Guilt, shame, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But you literally being torn, trying to, you know, 1 foot in the church door, 1 foot in the drug dealer's door.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Figured.
Literally.
But did you ever were you ever beating yourself up spiritually? Like, I'm just a hypocrite. Was there ever any kind of, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. Did you ever feel like shaming yourself out of that place?
I had shame, but I don't think I ever shamed myself out, because I knew who God was.
Maybe.
Right.
You know, in a sense. So as much shame as I had, I knew no matter what, he was there. He was there.
I love it.
You know, like I always knew that.
Yeah.
And I knew in my darkest hour, like, where to go.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that that's your answer. Man,
I was thinking that.
That's so awesome. Yeah.
You know, I mean, even though, like, I knew it was wrong and I had this shame and this hurt, like, I still would go to him, you know? And I felt safe, even in that addiction, like, even...
You know it wasn't beyond him.
Right, like, I guess I knew eventually, like, I'm his, so something's gonna change.
Right.
Something is gonna happen, you know?
Sounds like faith.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really neat.
Yeah.
So this happened, Home of Grace then for you, and this kind of reawakening, and happened about how long ago?
A year and a half.
Almost a year and a half, yeah.
So you're about a year and a half sober.
No, it's a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So what has this year and a half been like for you? What's this early journey in your sobriety looked like?
It was hard, but good.
Hard and hard.
Yeah, it is. Because I went back, I'm, living with my mom. And I had to just like rebuild. And for a whole year till I started my job in November, I didn't have a job.
But you were working.
I was working. I was like cleaning houses and, just any odd and end thing I can do. But I didn't have like a steady job, And it got to the point after a little while, because I was applying everywhere. So I was going on interviews and I wasn't getting calls. Nobody was calling me back. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, I've never had this trouble before. And I'm like, I feel like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing right. And
it's just not working.
It's not working. But when I wasn't doing anything right, I was working. Everything was going, the way it was. But I mean, it was just his time. Like, I just had to sit back and realize like it was his timing, The industry that I was in, I didn't need to go back in.
Right.
And that's what I was applying for. That's what I was, You were
going back to what was familiar.
Right. And this job I had now, I had sent my resume back in, I think, July. And I never heard anything. And my sister knew one of the girls there, and she was like, I thought you sent your resume to her. And I'm like, I did. And she was like, well, she never got it. So I reached out to her. I'm like, hey, I did send my resume. And this is, at this point, probably mid-October. So, I mean, it's been months, you know?
Yeah.
And she was like, no, you didn't. So I went through my emails, and I'm like, I did. So I forwarded her, because I'm like, she has to know that I really did send it when she asked for it, you know? And I forwarded it to her, and she was like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. It must have went in my junk, you know?
Yeah.
And I went on an interview the next week and was hired right, you know? So it's just crazy how God works, like things work. And I mean, it's a great.
Well, what a great example of how sometimes when he says no, that's him blessing us too, right? Because you acknowledge in the rearview mirror.
You didn't need to go back.
Yeah, going back to that old thing would not have been good.
And I mean, not that it was a bad thing. It's just, I don't think I need to be back in the same environment that I was in that time, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, it is an example, because a lot of people, they do struggle with that. Well, this is, I see a lot with the serving industry. Well, if this is all I know, this is what I'm good at.
Yeah.
But I can handle it. But that is still unbelief. Because if I trust him, then I trust he's going to give me a job that I don't have to brace myself and handle every day, that he's going to provide. And it doesn't sound like, even when you didn't have a steady job, did you go without?
No, never.
Did your daughter go without?
Never, nope.
Well, who is our provider? You know, that's what I think about. Like, you're the example.
Right. And sometimes I have to be reminded of that, you know, because I'm like, this is, you know, it's not enough money. It's not.
Yeah.
But we always had food.
Yes.
We always had gas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If she wanted to do something, she was always able to do it, you know? You just I had to learn to be grateful in what's what at the time.
And you're involved in a group now, which is totally outside your comfort zone.
Yes.
Tell me more about it.
So it's called Breaking Free through our church. So it's basically like an addiction recovery group. Yeah.
Love it.
So I started going there. It probably wasn't even a month into it. And the guy that leads it, he's like, so when are you going to lead? And I'm like, never. You're not getting me to lead. Absolutely not. Like, I don't even talk when I go in the group.
Yeah.
Like, and he just kept on and on and on. And I'm like, he's like, I'm telling you, I'm not asking you this because I want you to lead. Like, God is telling me you're going to lead. And I'm like, I am not. Wow. Absolutely not. And by the next semester, I was leading a group.
It reminds me of that saying, you know, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Yeah. I'm like,
I am not. You did not mean me. Yes.
I mean,
I
even
did.
up to the day that it was the first group, I'm still looking at him like,
yeah.
It's not happening. And he's like, here's the clipboard. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it just worked. It worked out. It's crazy. I actually met one of the girls that were in the group. She is, I don't know if she's a counselor of like a sober living house that's connected through the church or whatever, but she would come and she asked me, she's like, where did you say you went again? I'm like, Home of Grace. She's like, oh my God. She's like, I graduated from there like 10 years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm like, oh, wow. She's like, yeah. So it was weird, but yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Is it Brilynn? Am I saying that right? Mm-hmm. Brilynn, thank you so much. And thank you again for being so emotionally honest, right? That's so important, right? You don't know who that spoke to out there, but I promise you it did. Mm-hmm. And again, Amber, I love your honest answer about how this last year and a half has gone, you know, hard, right?
Yeah.
It reminds me, a couple episodes ago, we had kind of a conversational roundtable, and Kathryn put it this way. We were talking about how life is hard in addiction and in sobriety. Yeah. And Kathryn put it this way, that, you know, sometimes we have to choose our hard, right? Because that really is our two choices, because life is hard. Yeah. But what makes it easier is when we look at the end of that journey, right? Mm-hmm. What we're really choosing is, what do we want our reward to be?
Right.
And while the Christian walk and the sober walk can be hard, it ends with an eternal reward.
Yeah.
The problem with walking absent Christ is that it's also hard. But sadly, what few moments of pleasure you get in that lifestyle, well, that's been your reward. That's it. Because at the end of that walk, there is no reward. And so what wonderful honesty from both of you. Guys, thank you so much. And, just again, I just hear so much grace covering this story. And guys, it's there for you too. And that's, as always, I think that's what I want you guys to know. Some of you are listening to this and you've been sober many years, and it's just a good reminder. There may be somebody out there who's in the thickness of their walk, the darkness of their walk. Grace is all around you too, my friend. You just need to step back and see your life from a different perspective. And I know that sounds hocus pocus, but trust me, if you're willing and you humbly look for it, there are people in your life right now that will help direct you there. And by all means, call somebody, someplace. Keep striving, keep reaching, capitalize on the moments of clarity that we get, right? No doubt you've woken up 100 times saying this needs to stop. Dive into one of those moments and make a call and then just turn off your head and follow whatever lead God puts there. So guys, we love you. We're so glad you're here. So glad you get another story of hope and redemption. And remember, Jesus loves addicts. We'd love to hear from you. Guys, whatever platform you're watching this on, please leave a comment. We'd love to jump into a conversation. And thanks again. We'll see you next week.